The last time I remember having great memories in Philadelphia was back in 2022 during the World Series. Well, there wasn't much magic tonight other than Shea Whitcomb and an extra inning loss. First round goes to the Phillies. We got two more left. Let's talk about it right now.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
Yes, Joe. I hope we have a better start. I gotta go. We're on air. Hey, we are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse. You can find him.
What are you doing, Eric? You threw yourself off, man.
I did on purpose, but
okay.
Yeah, you can find me at Eric. You can find me at Eric Talk Shows. You can find Brett at H-Town Wheelhouse, and we are the Locked On Astros podcast. Go and make sure you subscribe to us. Make us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check out your. Go and make us your first listen. Brett, where can I find you at? Even though I just kind of told you.
That's okay. H-M Wheelhouse. Look, you can find me at Instagram, on TikTok, and on X. And you can find me back to the bullpen on X, on YouTube, on iHeartRadio, on Instagram. And look, why not find me at Stros 411 on Facebook and on Instagram? Look, man, I'm always positive, always Stros. I always say this. I'm positive. I hated this loss. This was a game that the Astros could have had. But Eric, tell us who our show is sponsored by.
Guys, I know we got the playoffs coming and we all want to know how to get tickets. If you're not one of the lucky people, let's talk about Game Time. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download the Game Time app. What time is it? It's game time. And Brett, I wished it was game time today. Shea Whitcomb showed up today. He delivered 2 early runs. And after not having any RBIs for his first handful of games, he's had, 4 RBIs in his past 3 or 4 games. So it looks like he's starting to find the magic touch. Unfortunately, the Astros offense was a little bit stale today. Blanco looked okay. I know Neris had to bail him out of jam in the 5th inning, but overall, it wasn't that bad a game. It just sometimes you can't score, and Josh Hader can't get it done all the time.
Yeah, look, you also need to score more than 2 runs off of Shea Whitcomb's. I mean, dude,
right.
That ball had so much topspin on it. Like at first when I left this bat, I was like, this ball may go out of the park, and it just took a deep dive into the dirt. Myers slid in and was safe and contributed that way. But bottom line is this offense just didn't take advantage of the 2 innings in a row. Excuse me. They had a runner on first and second with no outs, I believe, and failed to put a run across in those 2 innings. That right there would have been the difference in the game. You wouldn't have gone to extras. And tomorrow you get back Yordan for the full game. Hopefully you get back Dubon for the full game. So I think that's a good sign. And you just hope that tomorrow the bats perform better because our pitchers have been doing their job. I mean, this game wasn't like some whooping. They scored 3 runs. They scored 1 run in 3 different innings. This is a game that you easily should go out there and put up 3 to 4 runs or 4 to 5 runs and win this game. I'm not worried. I know people are like, oh my gosh, the Mariners are going to catch us. Guys, if you have more faith in the Mariners catching us than the Astros making the playoffs, then I don't know how to help you. I can't. And Yordan is that guy. Yordan literally hit the game-winning home run, game-clinching home run in the World Series in 2022. Yeah, it was 2 years ago, but don't say Yordan's not that guy. David can only be positive like 1 game at a time. He can't. I need a positive David streak for 2 games or 3 games. Because look, at the end of the day, these things are going to happen. This is the Phillies. This is a good team. This isn't a bad team. So at the end of the day, we've got 31 games left. The Mariners have 30 games left. If you come home and you're still 4.5 to 5 games minimum up on the Mariners after this stretch, I'm fine. I'm okay with it. Now, I would like to extend that lead a little bit. And if the Mariners lose tonight, you keep that 4.5 game lead. And I would like to separate some more and more and more. But I didn't say it was a lock. But if you're counting on the Mariners jumping the Astros with their horrible offense, I don't see what y'all see in the Mariners that they're doing. I mean, they're 3-7 in their last 10 games. We're 5-5, and we've been playing good teams.
Yeah, and I think the Astros are just in situation where they're facing a lot of good teams, and if they can maintain this lead throughout this stretch, I think that's what Brett's saying, is that they're putting themselves in a good place to be. But it's gonna be hard. The Phillies are a good team. They managed to split the series with the Orioles, but the Phillies are a tough team. This is a team that a lot of people think are going to go to the World Series this year. And so we're not saying that the Astros are locked to go to the playoffs. They're in good position to go to the playoffs. And it's going to take the Astros collapsing, which offensively they have done in several games recently. But they have the pitching staff to withstand this. 2 runs in a game for the first, 9 innings is impressive. So if you could do that, you would hope that the offense can squeak out enough runs. Jose Altuve was out of the lineup today. I know that Espada, in our conversation earlier, he said that he wanted to give him a day off during the Baltimore series, but he could not. So he went ahead and gave him a day off. I told you about this a week ago. You're going to see a lot of the regulars get some more days off now that the Astros have a lead. It is not a big lead, but it's still a lead. Now, once the Mariners start winning consistently, that's when the Astros are going to start panicking a little bit more. Right now, they have a little bit of leeway, and they're going to take that little leeway and rest some players. You saw them rest Alvarez for a few days. Granted, it was a stiff neck, but he had been playing a lot of left field, and this gave him a chance to relax, get off his feet for a little bit, and give somebody else a chance to play.
Exactly. I would just say this. After listening to Justin Verlander, when they interviewed him on the national broadcast the night before, he talked about there was never any panic. There was never any panic for the team while things were going awry, that they knew they just come in one day at a time. They come in and they basically take their lumps, they put it behind them, they put the work in, and they just put this game behind them. They're not going to dwell on it. They're going to be like, oh, this is a must game. We should have had that. That is not what they're going to do. Mr. Twang says, how many games is safe to say that we have to win until the end? Well, if we have 30 games left, I think if you win, if you can win 50, if you can win 20 of those games, I don't think the Mariners win more games than you. You just have to win more games than the Mariners. If I'm being honest, if the Mariners win 14 games and you win 16 games, you win it because you have 31 games left. And so I just think at the end of the day, the Astros have to come back tomorrow. They have to put their nose to the grindstone. The hitters have to not chase. The hitters have to be disciplined, Eric. And if they can do that, this offense is fully capable of banging out runs. And this Phillies team scores a lot of runs. They only scored 3 runs tonight. If Bryce Harper hits that ball 6 inches to the left, or, a half foot to the left, he probably makes that play. They probably don't score that run. You possibly get out of that inning. The Astros just failed to deliver. They had a guy on third and they just failed to deliver. And we don't do well in extra inning games. So they need to actually come out tomorrow and not get into an extra inning situation, because you know what? You've used Abreu and you use Hader in back-to-back days and Neris in back-to-back days. So you have got to get 7 out of your next guy and try to shorten the game so that the back end isn't responsible for so much, but you got to build that lead to give them that cushion.
Yeah, and just to kind of go off what you're saying, I'm never going to count off the Mariners until it's all said and done. But they are 3-7 in their last 10 games. Yeah. They've won 1 game. There's nothing that's saying, oh gosh, they're on a roll right now. So they have struggled offensively. Their pitching has not done what they're supposed to do. So right now, This is the Astros' time to shine. Unfortunately, they're facing a bad stretch of team, like somebody brought up the Royals. We know that they're playing the Royals next. It is a rough stretch. So we are perfectly aware of what's on the docket, and losing a game like this hurts. It sucks.
Yeah, right.
And the team feels it. The team, especially Josh Hader, as good as he's been doing with the stupid ghost runner, there's no justification for a loss, but a pitcher is going to dwell on it for like 30 seconds and forget about it. But at the same time, these games happen. This was a playoff atmosphere. I thought it was a overall well-played game. You just couldn't get that dang offense going. We'll go and continue this conversation next.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. And let me tell you what they got going on. You've heard me talk about it before. You know they're the #1 sportsbook in America. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube or YouTube TV. That's right, not just the new ones, everybody. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account, a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. So you're not locked into some crazy contract. And it's from America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel.com.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe to us. Make us first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. Go ahead and make Michael Connor at the Locked On Astros postcast your second listen, and go ahead and watch us all on your Amazon Fire TV stick. You can go ahead and just search free channel app, and you can go in and find baseball. Just find Astros, and you can go and watch us on your big screen, on your projector, whatever you want to do. You can watch, get all your Locked On Astros content there. So I know that Willard says, well, Eric and Brett, what about runner on second base? Bregman strikes out, bad pitch, Alvarez grounds out, and Diaz flies out. What a joke. That's not what they didn't go in and say, okay, this is what we were planning on doing. It happens. It's baseball. This is not Ted Lasso in there making all X's and O's and everything. And this is what they planned out. It happens.
Well, exactly. And look, Mike Stanton says it all the time, and I respect his opinion over just about anybody. And he says baseball is built on its foundation is failure.
Right.
I mean, that's why if a guy hits something 30% of the time, if someone hits the ball 30% of the time for their whole career, they're a Hall of Famer. You don't get to go to your work. I don't get to go to my work. Eric doesn't get to go where he works and do 30% of their job and get rewarded for it and get paid millions of dollars. So that's not an excuse. It literally is just baseball. And that's not a cliche. It happens. And failure happens more times than not. The reason why it hurts so bad as a fan is, one, you're a fanatic like we are, okay? And we get that. And you want this team to win. And we think that I think that this team, you put it up against anybody, they give a good performance. They do their hitting the way they could. They do their pitching the way they can beat anybody, even the Dodgers with Ohtani, even the Yankees with Aaron Judge as hot as he is. The Astros have a good team. You just have to ride that. You can't get too high. You can't get too low. You gotta play in the middle. And I'm constantly reminded of that scene in Fever Pitch where the Boston Red Sox lose and all the guys are at the bar and they look over and Johnny Damon and Jason Varitek after a loss are sitting there eating and cutting it up. And they're like, how can they be happy after a loss? Like, they don't even care. And I'm like, they care a lot more than you do. So trust me, I'm not saying it's all roses, but what I am saying is you've got to take the bad with the good in baseball, not the good with the bad, because it's going to be more negative than positive. And you just have to realize, like, this team has a lot of potential, and they're all doing this they've done this run. They've had this run without one of their best offensive players. That is Kyle Tucker.
But we have Gamble. He's actually becoming one of the best offensive
Gamble,
players.
I'm telling
Another
you.
hit.
Ben Gambit. That's my boy right there. Marvel superhero. I love that guy. He's awesome.
Yeah, but outside of Whitcomb with that big double that drove in 2 runs, the Astros didn't have any extra base hits. Pena had the error. You had a couple double plays. Unfortunately, it just was a situation where you went 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. You left 8 runners on base overall. You had 8 strikeouts on a game. So it was just one hit throughout the lineup. Altuve did pinch hit for Myers. Myers is batting .229 with the .678 OPS at this moment. But McCormick did come in for Whitcomb. He's batting .188 with a .528 OPS. So there's just some issues with this team. And it's so bad at this point. You have Victor Caratini playing first base. You have catchers playing first base just to get some offense in there. And I know Caratini got a hit today and scored a run and had a walk. But overall, it just, why can't everybody play and just do good? So
because it's baseball. That's why. That's why you have 1-9. But see, that's why when everybody's freaking out that Martin Maldonado was in the lineup, it's because you had 8 other guys that could do the job. And look, Victor Caratini has been cold as ice. So for him to contribute tonight is good. You need him to get started. And I don't know if you saw this. Oh, never mind. We'll talk about it last segment. I see you have it up there about the September option there. But Alvarez came back. He didn't contribute the way I'm sure he wanted to contribute. But it's good to have him back. I think he starts tomorrow. Like, again, I think Dubon starts tomorrow. And Alvarez probably goes to DH. Dubon probably goes to left field. And Dubon, the dude needs to win another Gold Glove. That guy's amazing, Eric. He is so valuable, infield, outfield, no matter where you put the guy. Mauricio Dubon is he is one of the best. I mean, he's like an all-sport athlete. If you remember, I don't know if you ever played the original NCAA football game on the PlayStation before they canceled it because colleges weren't making money from it and they sued EA Sports. But you have on there a guy you can pick up called an athlete. You have your quarterbacks, your running backs, your wide receivers. He would be an athlete because he can do it all. He can run, he can hit, he can catch. He can almost fly through walls.
So it's a no-name player you just pick up and his name is just athlete?
No. His position is athlete. So if you look at going back to my high school days, we used to look at the top athletes in Texas, right? Okay. So let's say Eric Huysman was a top athlete out of his high school at quarterback. Brett was his top athlete or was his top wide receiver. Well, then you have Mauricio Dubon. If he didn't really have a position like he played offense, defense, he did a little bit of everything. He was considered an athlete.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
So the quarterbacks would be considered athletes, and they would be your running quarterbacks. So that's where I think Dubon falls.
Yeah. So I know that the offense didn't really do its job, but we have Justin Verlander tomorrow. So hopefully he can turn the tide a little bit. It's great to have him back. It's great to have Alvarez back. And Blanco did okay in today's game. I know we kind of talked about it. 5 2/3 innings. He only allowed 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 1 home run. So overall, it was not a bad. He allowed runs in the 5th and the 6th inning. So it was good there. I know that it was runners with 2nd and 3rd, I believe, with 2 outs. When Neris came in, Neris got him out of trouble.
Yeah, he did.
Neris has been thrown into the fire so far.
Yeah.
So basically came off the scrap heap and been thrown into the fire, and he's responded. He's become the same Hector Neris that he was with the Astros.
I agree.
So this is a lesson that if you're doing well with the Houston Astros, don't leave. Take less money.
Well,
Alex Bregman, stay.
But he didn't want to leave. I don't think he wanted to leave.
Right.
And, I mean, the Astros the Astros made a mistake letting him go. And of course, when Neres wasn't performing, it's like, oh my gosh, the Astros, glad they let him go. No, he was in the wrong role. He was a closer. He's not primarily a closer at this point.
Yeah. So we'll go and continue this conversation. We'll talk about who might be option for a September call up. No, it's not Forrest Whaley, even though we think he should be. But we're going to talk about this and more on Locked On Astros podcast.
All right. You've heard me talk about SupplyHouse. You've heard me talk about this. Look, if you are looking to get an order from a reliable source like SupplyHouse for your plumbing, HVAC, and electrical needs online, you need to listen to me. It's an easy-to-use website packed full of resources and products, the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. That's right. And you not only get that, but you get expert support and industry-leading service and the friendliest folks in the business. You get to talk to a real person every time. You can't get that anywhere. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. So join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from the free membership at SupplyHouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere, just a few clicks away at SupplyHouse.com. Look, my dad almost came out of retirement when I told him about this.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. Make us your first listen. Become an everydayer. Somebody listens to our podcast every day. I know we want Altuve to be everydayer, but he's got to have his days off. We want Bregman to be everydayer, especially with the elbow. He's probably going to have some days off. Alvarez is going to have some days off. So we need a little bit of the supporting cast to step up and say, ooh, put me in, coach. But it doesn't look like anybody wants to be that guy. We were hoping that DeZenzo would kind of step up and be that guy. I know he's had a couple hits recently. Whitcomb looks like he can be potentially ready, but it was good to see Bregman really start at third base again. So it's not limiting his throws. It's kind of weird that he's not getting a lot of plays at third base, at least in the first two games. But overall, I think the Astros just need to figure out where they are, who they are offensively, because of all these different lineups. I know AJ Hinch stays. He would joke that I have a different lineup. I've had 162 different lineups,
right,
and he would just change it. But it just feels like with this team, you never know who's going to be in the lineup, and so it sucks a little bit. But at the same time, it is where it is because Kyle Tucker. The Astros had no idea he would be out this long, and I think if they did, they would have maybe made more of a pursuit. I heard that Yandy Diaz, that was not even in the cards for the Astros. They don't know who made that up, but that was just something that just somebody else floated to maybe get somebody else to.
He was getting in the tiff with one of his players in the dugout. You know, he's kind of a hothead, and now that you think about it, I don't know that chemistry wise that would have been a great move, and I don't think they needed to make that move. We just have to have guys step up to the plate. You just got to get in the box, and you've got to be top notch in there. You've got to be willing to take up the slack, because with Tucker not in, and I went back and I read that quote where Joe Espada said he sent me a very long text message. I'm like, why throw the long word in there 3 times? Like, just tell me. He sent me a text message and it had a lot of good things to say. Can you be more specific, or just say, hey, I talked to Kyle and he's really excited with how far he's come. He's not running yet, but he's almost there. I just, because to me, it sounds to the fan base, because I talk to fans every day. Hey, what do you think about the club's communication with the public? And they're like, we don't know when they're being honest with us. We don't know if they're telling us the truth. I mean, I even had one of my friends today say, I wonder if Kyle Tucker will be like on the injured list and say won't play till 2025 all of a sudden. Like, Like, is that a possibility? Because now, if you look at the injury list on MLB.com, it says Kendall Graveman, hopefully September, possibly 2025. I'm like, what? Who is writing these notes? What are we doing here? And at the end of the day, the team can't even. I guarantee you, the guys aren't going, oh man, well, gosh, I wish Kyle Tucker would get back. We really need help. No, they need to get out there and just do it. They need to win these next 2 games. I'm not saying it's a must, but if they win these next 2 games, Eric, really good chance that the Rays take care of business against the Mariners, and then you get yourself 6.5 games up on the Mariners. If they can lose these next 2, that would be huge going into the Royals series. You got to at least split the Royals series. You don't have to win it. You can win 2 of 4. I don't mind doing that. Don't pitch to salvage. He hit a grand slam last night. Just that dude can pound the baseball. He is a great hitting catcher. But I was kind of surprised about this Montero thing. I want to talk about that. Montero, possibly coming up in September. Not Forrest Whitley. What are we doing here? 18 scoreless innings for Forrest Whitley. Come on, man. What's going on?
Well, I've been mentioning this. He's actually been pitching very well down in AAA, and I know it's AAA, but Joe Espada said in a text to me, no, actually in this article, he said all the reports are good. He's throwing the ball well. Pitching coaches say that he's working on all the stuff that we ask him to work on, and he's getting some whiffs. He feels good. He's got a good attitude, so he's trending the right direction. And he said that he is an option when the rosters expand to 28 players on September 1st.
Probably because he has playoff experience.
Right.
But, I mean, and that's the only thing where Forrest Whitley does not have that experience. And that's probably the thing that keeps him out of the mix.
Right.
Now, if the Astros weren't in it at all, Forrest Whitley probably more than likely gets called up.
Right. So coming into today, he's thrown 6 innings. He's allowed 3 hits, 1 walk, 14 strikeouts.
Wow.
14 strikeouts. So I know it's AAA, but he's working. He's doing everything he's supposed to. Now, if Abreu went down and did everything he was supposed to, maybe he would come back better.
Well, I think this is a different situation. Also, can we get the same treatment for Chaz? Can Chaz go down there and start hitting? I mean, Chaz is awful at the plate right now. I don't even know why he's pinned.
Another team would claim him. I don't know if he would pass through waivers.
No, Chaz can't go back down. Chaz doesn't have any options. I thought Chaz still had at least 1 option left. Because if he does, guys, what happens if we don't call up Forrest Whitley? He just stays on the roster. I mean, he stays with us. So,
well, technically, he's already made his debut, so you can't lose him in the Rule 5 draft because he's already made his debut. So I think he'll be fine. So I don't think that the Astros will lose him. So I think that his time with the Astros will be next year. I don't know if Neris will be back, even though that he could be back. But Chaz McCormick does have 3 options. You're right.
So here you go. I'm gonna give this guy some play. Mariners will win the division. Astros will not make wild card. Yep, that's a fact. Bad karma. B yacht. What's a bee yacht? Is that like a yacht?
It's a boat. Bees? Yeah, it's a boat that you put beehive. You have a beehive, and you can have all the honey you want.
Hey, Peter, enjoy your 5 minutes of fame. You're gone.
All right. So. Alrighty. Well, speaking of Mariners, they are now tied. Actually, they just took a 4-1 lead against Tampa.
Hey, they took a 4-1 lead. That's okay. I mean, look, it is close. It is going to be hectic. It is going to be crazy. But I still believe that at the end of the day, the Astros have a lot more what it takes, and I believe in what the Astros have versus what the Mariners have. And I'll keep saying that.
Yeah, I still think the Mariners have a chance. The Astros have got to win. You can't you can't rely on the Mariners.
You can't keep relying on them. You're right. 100%. 100%.
Eventually, they're going to go on this winning streak. I'm not going to say they're going to go off and win 20 games in a row, but they're going to eventually win like 3 or 4 games in a row or something. You've got to win. I know you're playing some tough teams. So what? You've played tough teams. I believe in something called a World Series before and won. You played in some World Series games and lost. So
yeah,
get over it and get it done. So I know the Astros are 70-61 right now. The Braves have about the same record as 70-60 right now. So the Astros are not quite one of the elite teams, but they should be playing better baseball. They should be playing better baseball against the good teams. They have played good games, but it's just they should be winning more. And especially this time of year, put the Mariners away so you don't have to worry about it.
No, it makes sense. I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So I know tomorrow's game, it's going to be Justin Verlander versus Taijuan Walker. Walker is 3-5 with a 6.26 ERA. Actually, no.
That guy.
I'm looking at the wrong game. Hold on. Wrong game. I fast forwarded. Yeah. I'm looking at the Wednesday's game. So let me try to pull this up. Go ahead and talk while I'm trying to do this.
No, it's I got you. It's Aaron Nola. A little bit different matchup. Aaron Nola versus Justin Verlander. 147 strikeouts versus 57 strikeouts. Yeah, Aaron Nola. Now, Aaron Nola has had shaky starts against the Astros. So, yeah. I mean, Aaron Nola has
he's 11-6.
Huh?
He's 11-6 with 3.45 ERA.
The Astros have had they've in the playoffs, they've handled them quite nicely. So let's go do that tomorrow.
Yeah, so the Astros have a tough matchup tomorrow. All they can do is go out, just do what they did in playoffs against them, and just hopefully they make some contact. Alvarez has a good game, and the Astros just get back to winning. Guys, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. He is Brett Chancey. We will see you tomorrow, and go Astros.
Go Astros.